guys, what's going on? Welcome back to the Leading Edge Cricket Podcast. Round 4 of the County Championships is in the books, and so is this podcast back, because it's another week. It's another week of review. It's a smaller week of review, just 5 games in this, busy schedule that we can't fit all the cricket into. But teams keep getting weeks off, and we're only 4 weeks into the season. Rich, welcome to the podcast. What are your thoughts on that?
Morning, Snarky. How we doing? You all right?
I'm going to bed on the wrong side of bed here.
Yes.
I was umming and ahhing about the schedule in my head while I was at work today, and I was like, we're 4 weeks in. It's rained and rained and rained. But some teams have played 2 games. Some teams have played 3 games. Some teams have played 4 games. It just doesn't feel right. It should surely be there's 9 games, full teams playing on 14 weeks of the season to get the championship in. That feels very reasonable to me.
It does seem a little odd. It really does. It's very, very strange when you look around and you're thinking, right, what's next? And you go, oh, only 5 games this week. That's a bit weird. But, hey, it is what it is. What do we know about cricket, Rob? We're just the people that follow it, eat, sleep, drink, breakfast, cricket, everything we must do. But we don't know anything, and that's fine, because it's those at the top do, and they tell us what the schedule is, because the 100, yay, 100.
100 is in a bit of hot water, Rich. I don't know if you've been following Twitter this week.
I mean, it's no surprise, is it? People have been saying there's been an absolute financial black hole. If you take into account certain things, it looks in good order, but if you actually take that bit of money away that you shouldn't be including, it's in a hole. It was always going to be in a hole. Nobody in the world wants to buy your 100. No, it's like a knockoff T-shirt. We don't need it. We don't want it. T20 is there. It's fine. We had something. Just rebrand that. Wow, how have we got onto this already? This is not County Championship, Rob. This is not red ball cricket. Sorry, I mentioned the 100. Sorry.
What would it be called, right? So you've got Andrew Strauss's high performance review. What would it be called if we did it? That's the question. It wouldn't be high. And it probably wouldn't get a review on the end either.
Well, we use a review for everything else. I have no idea, mate. I have no idea. It would just be very factual if it was me. It'd be very scientific. Schedule review.
2 no-names talk trash about English cricket review.
No comment. Yeah, but we'll see. I mean, that's another thing, isn't it? Not getting into that, but obviously the ECB's had a bit of a shake-up as well, haven't they, recently? Strauss is sort of out. Is he out? He's probably going to be a consultant now. So.
Yeah.
Is he ever out?
Not officially employed or reviewing anything or anything high or any performance. Going on to future endeavours, best wishes.
Yeah.
And he'll still have his fingers in certain pies.
Yeah. Well, considering they didn't actually implement anything he suggested, it's probably a good idea for him to just go, yeah, all right, I'm good, guys. See you later.
Yeah. It's funny that I did read something that said, they've implemented like 8 things he suggested, and I'm like, what were they? The ball being one.
Okay, yeah, better selection of sandwiches, different drinks options.
Yeah, very strange world. Also, the whole structure as a whole, before we get into the County Championship review, we're available on Leading Edge Pod on Twitter. We just tweeted this morning about the impact of Bazball into county cricket through the first 4 weeks. And since 2000 through to 2023, highest strike rate ever for top 6 batters on a season-by-season basis. Particularly, it's the highest it's been for first innings, but second innings scores. Second innings scores are scoring at a greater rate than they ever have before. That is interesting, and it's great to see how it's kind of correlating through to the red ball game at the county level.
Yeah, really interesting stuff. It's that point change, trying to encourage results, positive results. It's had an impact already, hasn't it? And obviously we heard about there was a conversation had with all captains and coaches at the start of this year, a bit of a Zoom call, wasn't it, between Stokes, McCullum, trying to get their ethos and their ideas across, and it's clearly resonated, and they're implementing it absolutely. There's only been the odd game we've seen so far where a second innings chase has just gone, nah, that's too much.
Yeah.
It's almost like they forgot what year it was. They forgot what happened last summer. We were back to the dark old Dom Sibley chasers. Sorry, Dom.
Tom Sibley
getting strays already.
He is. Right, County Championship action. So 5 games, 2 in Division 1 out of 4 out of the 10 teams playing. I'm going back there again. Rich, Where are we starting off?
We're going to start at where we should always start at, Rob, at Lords. We're at Lords. We're at Middlesex hosting Kent, and Middlesex won this one by 9 wickets. Rob, a slow start to summer for Middlesex, but that's 2 wins on the bounce now. Really convincing win, wasn't it, after they beat Notts last week in the gloom. This was very much down to the really solid bowling unit Middlesex have to offer. So, right, how do we get here again? Kent got the game underway, just 186, Rob. Ben Compton top scored with 168 ball. 52, steady. Grant Stewart then came in and hit a brisk 44. They were 100 for 6 at one point, weren't they? It was a bit of a mess, this batting lineup. England opener Zach Crawley went early just for 11. He's not had a good game. We'll get to his second innings shortly. Tim Murtagh, he bowled Crawley. He took 4 for 40. The man known as Mini Murtagh, Ethan Bamber, also got a 4 for 42 for him. All-rounder Ryan Higgins, who has had an absolutely brilliant start to summer. He's took 2 for 13 off 11.2. I love those figures. Middlesex followed that up with 229, and it was that man again, Ryan Higgins, 71 for him. We're going to touch on who's the leading run scorers in Division 1, and spoiler, Ryan Higgins, he's in there. Middlesex innings had plenty of others who made starts who didn't quite go on. Luke Holman's 32 was second to Higgins' key knock. Aussie seamer Wes Agar led the way with 4 for 60 for Kent with Hogan. Another Aussie, isn't he? Michael Hogan, about the same age as us. Grant Stewart and Matt Quinn all taking 2 wickets apiece. Middlesex seamers then really took control of the game, Rob. Dismissed Kent for just 128. Come on, guys. Murtagh took 6 for 42. That took him to 10 wickets in the game and to reach 1,000 wickets across all formats for Middlesex. Stunning achievement. He got off to a flyer as well, didn't he? He took 2 wickets off the first 2 balls of the innings. Crawley's gone first ball. Daniel Bell Drummond goes second ball. 2 golden ducks. Congratulations. Well done, guys. Jack Lean 48, Ben Compton 38 with it only meant to put up anything of note. Bamber another 2 for him, Helm and Higgins getting the other 2. Middlesex 86 run target, that's all they needed for the win. They reached inside 25 overs. Sam Robson 41 not out, Peter Milan 24 not out, Mark Stoneman the only wicket taken by Matt Quinn. 19-point win, Rob, for Middlesex, who are absolutely feeling themselves a little bit here after the last couple of weeks. Slow start and then they get one over Notts and now a big win in this one.
Yeah, that's quite an incredible performance. It's kind of Rich is holding up his quack for any podcast listeners, and a big thumbs up as well.
This is to Zach and Daniel. Congratulations, guys.
The Zach and Daniel drink. We said last week this was probably a 40-point game. Both teams potentially going to be near the bottom of the table. Middlesex, the worst top 6 in the division, have gone and pulled off back-to-back wins. How does that happen? Well, Ethan Bamber had a struggling 2022 and he's bounced back fantastically this year. Bowling well, never going to be express pace, kind of that 75 to 77 mile an hour range. So when you want to talk England, probably not there, but very much in the Mini Murtagh role. Mini Mertz, right? Mini Mertz. Sorry, Tim Murtagh, not Mini Mertz. We're going Mertz Senior.
Big Mertz.
First class win. Incredible achievement, mate. Did Zach Crawley all ends up with one that came in through the gate in the first innings and one that didn't go away? Didn't come in on the second innings. So just real wily sort of bowler, real high class. I dropped him from my fantasy team because he hadn't played all year this week. And then he went and took a whole shed load of wickets. But what to celebrate about him other than me doing that? Most wickets in county championship cricket since the year 2000. 804 county championship wickets at 24. Strike rate of 49. Career match average, which is 5.25 less than the matches he has played in. Wonderful performer. Always there and thereabouts. Any day of the week, month or year. Just gets it done. And I think as a whole, going Middlesex, they're going to be ecstatic. They can't actually do any better than this. The top 6ers underperformed. They were 5 for 62 here, but when there's a hole, who do you give the ladder to? You give it to Ryan Higgins week in, week out. He is averaging 30 above the top 6 match average for the games that he's played in this year, and that's incredible considering he's batting at number 7.
Yes, absolutely.
Time and time again, mate, just digs them out of a hole, does enough, gets into the batting with the real end of the tail, and then starts to go off. Middlesex are winning games not because of the batting, but because of the bowling. 68 wickets at 23, which ironically is about the same average as their batting lineup. Kent have been poor with the ball. Say it every podcast. Poor April, May last year. Terrible this year, however slightly better. I think as in adding Wes Agar is a great addition. Big, strong unit, bowls hard, heavy ball. Everyone likes a heavy ball. Big, tough Aussie. And Quinn's adding great value, 9 wickets at 23. They're averaging 40 with the ball, though, as a whole, so it's not quite working. And generally, if you don't score 200 in either innings, you're not going to win many games of cricket. And Middlesex, all they need to do is score about 210 and defend it, because their bowling attack is doing so well. And, they're finding themselves in third in the table with a 500 record, 1-2 lost to. That's outstanding.
Yeah, and they must still have at least a top 3 that's probably got pretty much the worst record in Division 1 at the moment. Middlesex. It just shows you how well the bowling and the middle order is performing to keep getting them out of jail every time the top order decides to, I was going to say something very unpolite then, but every time they fail or don't do as well as they should. Let's be much more polite about it, Rob.
Yeah, 100%.
Right, big one here. Warwickshire against Surrey at Edgbaston. Surrey won this one by 9 wickets again. Another big win. Not that they beat them again, but I meant it was another 9-wicket win. So reigning champs, Surrey. It's inside 3 days. Again, another really impressive win. And like Middlesex, it was very much the seam bowlers that led to this one. Kemar Roach, I would suggest, is the main man in Surrey. Warwickshire, I think, is going to be really frustrated by this performance, though. Only reaching 150 and 141 in their 2 innings. Not really good enough, is it? First innings of the game, it was only promising young all-rounder Dan Mousley who led the way with 55 in tough conditions against a very high-class Surrey attack. He looks like he could be a real top player. I don't know if we want to take a moment for him after we've done this quick summary, but Dan Mousley, if you ever get to see the highlights of him at the moment, he just looks fun. He looks a player. He's going to play for England, simple as that. Dan Worrell, 4 for 38, including the wicket of Mousley. Kemar Roach took 3 for 33, whilst Jordan Clark took 2 for 26. Tom Laws, the other wicket. Surrey then went on to hit 281 in their first innings with another promising young player, top scorer, and this time Jamie Smith. 88 for him. England keeper Ben Foakes returned to action. He was rested last week, if you remember, had a bit of a back spasm, so they played it mega careful and rested him. He hit 39, good to see him back. Rory Burns 32, Worrell 35 also made important contributions. Oliver Hannon-Dolby, Chris Rushworth and Hassan Ali all taking 3 wickets each. Surrey seamers then, a bit like Middlesex, a similar game, wasn't it? They then made their mark. Kemar Roach blasted through the card, 5 for 34 for him, whilst Dan Worrell grabbed another 3 for. All-rounder Ed Barnard, who's made the move, obviously, this off-season from Worcestershire, top scored with 49. This left Surrey with a mammoth chase, Rob, of 11 runs. Just 11. They approached in very interesting fashion, though. I feel like this needs a conversation. And they allowed bowlers Dan Worrell and Tom Laws to open. Worrell lasted 2 balls. That's done. Before skipper Rory Burns was like, come on, stop messing around, guys. And he joined them at number 3. But it was Tom Laws. He smashed them to a 20-point victory with a 5-ball 16 that included 2 sixes off spinner Rob Yates, who opened the bowling and bowled the second over. Nice. I like that. So it seems like an easy victory on paper for Surrey. Obviously tough conditions, but they made the most of it and they absolutely demolished Warwickshire.
It is a demolishing, and it's a Warwickshire team that were bigged up because of their batting lineup that's been doing okay, and because of Sam Hain and an excellent bowling unit. They have been doing okay for themselves, but Surrey are the ones that really need patting on the back here. To bowl Warwickshire out for under 150 twice is outstanding. Their bowling average this year is 25.39, which is ranked 5th, so kind of middle of the table. But what they're ranked first in, and which is very important when it comes to winning matches, is their team's bowling average below the match bowling average, and they're 7.69 less. So they're actually bowling really well for the games they play, and particularly given they play places like the Oval where your averages are going to be higher. And they're doing it without so much as a spinner. The spinners are averaging 157 for them. Kemar Roach, 5th county championship fifer, a career 25 county championship average, which is pretty good considering he bowls half his games at the Oval, but 14 wickets at 19 this year, 12.02 under the match average he's playing in. But he's not doing it alone. Worrell's averaging less than 20. Abbott, Laws and Clark are averaging 30 and below. So as a unit, the pressure is always there. Batting lineup didn't quite fire for them here, but it was against a good bowling attack. But your pal Jamie Smith stepping up again, second 50 of the season. He really does look like a high-quality player. And the way he goes about scoring his runs is really good for English cricket going forward. I think Warwickshire are going to be disappointed. 4 for 47, 6 for 39 across the both innings. Not going to the game plan. Sam Hain, incredible first couple of games he played. Didn't really get a go here. And I'm glad you put on Dan Mousley. I've put Dan Mousley is must-watch cricket.
Yeah.
He goes block, 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 charge, block, charge.
Yeah, he's fun.
Yeah, he is. 159 runs at 39, strike rate is 63. In my notes, I've just put he just loves tracking people. He loves being ultra aggressive. In an interview I saw with him, he comes across as an ultra confident sort of guy, and obviously just really enjoys playing the brand of cricket that he is.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, he's just exciting, isn't he? Whenever the highlights are on, or if there's a little Twitter clip of him, you just watch it and go, "Ooh, I like this guy." He's going to play for England. It's one of those. He's got something about him. He's got that X factor. Jamie Smith's the same. It's not the amount of runs he scores; it's how he scores them. He just looks such a talent. Quick one on the old England watch. Chris Wokes did play for Warwickshire, didn't he? None for 44 off 19 overs for him. And if Sam Hain doesn't go, he scored 10 and 3 in this game. If he doesn't go, it seems like that Warwickshire batting card doesn't go. So that's got to be a worry, hasn't it? Just a little also extra to make it a little bit worse of a week for them. Ahead of the games, Warwickshire are going to be without future star Jacob Bethel after he's diagnosed with a stress fracture in his back. So he's not going to bowl again this year. But there is hope he can play as a specialist batter later in the summer. On the way back, though, hopefully, is Liam Norrell, depending if you're from Nottinghamshire or not. Sorry, we have a village called Norrell, which is spelt like Norwell, so we don't know how to say it around here. We're just tied up in knots now. So yeah, we'll see if he comes back. But a big miss, Jacob Bethel. Spin options could be Danny Briggs getting back in. Is that the right man?
Yeah, maybe.
So there you go. So that's Warwickshire. So that's the 2 games of cricket we had in Division 1 this week. Seems a bit of a waste, doesn't it? Surrey, reigning champs, back in top spot, Rob, looking ominous. Yeah. Hampshire looking good as well there in second. Middlesex, excellent, now up into third. At the other end, though, Somerset are bottom. Rob's Bully Boys. Northants just above them. Lancashire and Notts just above them. Notts need to pick it up a little bit, don't they?
Yeah, they do, and they've got a trip. I think they're at home to Lancashire next week as well. Yeah. So that's going to be a really good game. Somerset Northants next week, bottom of the table clash. That's a big 40-point contest. In Warwickshire, well, they've got to take their bowling unit to go and play against the next best bowling unit in the division, which is Hampshire. That is going to be a good one. But I think a lot of eyes are going to be on Surrey Essex, particularly, said no one ever, because I said Essex are going to win the league this year.
Yeah. No, but I think if Surrey are playing, they're top of the table at the minute. They're looking the best team at the moment. That has to be the must-watch game next week, doesn't it? Absolutely. Just before we move on to Division 2, Rob, I think we've got a bit of time today. So let's have a look at the batters and bowlers who are really performing so far this year. Keaton Jennings, he's leading the way with 378 runs at 94.5. Woo! It's so unfortunate that he's got injured, isn't he? He's proven himself to be just a different Keaton Jennings to the one we saw play for England previously. Absolutely stunning. 1 run behind him in the charts is Ben Compton, 377 at 62.83, whilst Ben Duckett next up, 349 for 58. Notably, the top 3 are all openers. It's quite interesting, especially early season. Ryan Higgins, who we spoke about, a great return to Middlesex, 4th in the charts with 327 at 54.5, and 5th spot Sam Hain, the only man in Division 1 with 200 so far. He has 297 runs at a Bradman-esque 99.
Very solid. What I'd call that, Ryan Higgins, 4 50-plus scores from 4 matches. And one of your mates, Matt Critchley, further down the list, probably in the top 15, 222 runs. Great to say, at 55.5 with 3 scores of 50 above, and has looked really, really solid.
Absolutely. Keep them coming. With the wickets, Mohammed Abbas, that's never a surprise, is it? He's way out in front, 21 at 13.71. Ethan Bamber, who we spoke about earlier, Lewis Gregory, Dan Worrell, all have 16 wickets, whilst Ethan Bamber's pals at Middlesex, Toby Rowland-Jones and Tim Murtagh, have 15 wickets each. All 3 of the Middlesex seam attacking the top 6 or 5, whatever that is. Very impressive.
It is. If you want to take that down to the top 20, mate, Ryan Higgins makes the list as well.
Yes, 12 wickets at 20. Going alongside his, 327 runs at 54. Someone did post a question the other day, actually, because we do England Watch every day during the County Championship summer. And Ryan Higgins is on there. And the reason I think he's on there is because, I'm not saying, God forbid if Ben Stokes goes down, how would you balance that England team out? This is for a bigger conversation, and at some point we're going to do these depth charts. So we keep promising, Robert, schedules, we will get to do it. But who would you put in that all-rounder spot? Who could bat at number 6? Who could then give you some overs? Because you're not asking Ryan Higgins coming in the England team as a bowler is not happening. He's not got enough pace, but he is very talented. He does a lot. He's very skillful with the ball. But if you was to ask him to be the 5th bowler, it offers you a few overs here and there, and batting with the way he is batting, it suddenly becomes a nice option, doesn't it?
He does. He does. I can't quite see it because of the pace of the bowling.
Yes.
It kind of needs to be at that 78, 80 kind of mile an hour thing. Otherwise, it's getting down a little part-timerish at test level. But I think, again, depending on the balance of the team and who's available, what you're trying to fix, it could be an option.
Yeah, I think the reason we're including him is because if Stokes was to go down and you still want to retain that balance of an all-rounder, someone that can bat in that top six on merit but also offer some overs, there's not that many players around that fit that mould. It's quite a difficult conversation at the moment.
Yeah, you just get so much good stuff from having a balanced team with... Remember when we had Pete Moeen Ali, when he was taking wickets and he was a high-quality bowler? The team just fizzed. You've got Stokes and you've got Ali, and you can just chop and change and make stuff happen. But as soon as he went, we really struggled to find the balance in the team. Batting started to struggle past that point as well because we lost some of the depth. It's a hard thing to do, and we're very fortunate that we've got a Stokes because a lot of countries don't have a Ben Stokes that they can, bat in the top six and be your 4th, 5th seamer.
Absolutely. So right, let's rattle on to Division 2, Rob. We had 2 draws, we had a result. So let's start with the positive result, shall we? Durham hosted Derbyshire. Early season favourites Derbyshire, and Durham won by an impressive innings and 7 runs, led by Matty Potts, Rob. Who is Matty Potts? The England man and one of the 5 Wisden cricketers of the year. Let's not forget that. I need to stop being so cynical because Matty Potts was so proud of this award, and rightly so, because he had a really, really good summer last year, both in county championship and when he stepped up for England. So it's well deserved. We just have an issue with the actual Wisden award in itself, because if you've won it, you can't have it again. But hey ho. That's that. But Matty Potts had a brilliant game in this one. Good timing for him to start getting his name up there. So this win was settled by an excellent first inning knock from Durham. Alex Lee's 45 or 44. He keeps scoring at a good rate at the moment. He's definitely embracing the Bazball ethos. He's just not going on to making the big runs. His fellow opener Michael Jones, 43 as well at the top of the order. Good platform. And then it was the 2 Centurions in the middle order, Ollie Robinson and Bryden Cast. Robinson recently arrived from Kent, the wicket-keeper batsman, not the Sussex bowler. He hit his first county championship 100 for Durham in rapid fashion, bringing up his 100 in just 93 balls, finishing on 114 off 107. Not long after, big seamer Bryden Cast brought up his maiden first-class 100, unbeaten on 108 by the end of the innings. He hit 91 last week, so this is an absolutely well-deserved knock for the big guy. Fellow bowler Paul Coughlin also hit a nice 52. Ben Aitchison and Zach Chappell led with the wickets, despite both going for their own hundreds, taking 3 for 131 and 2 for 120 respectively. Lewis Rees had a good game. He'll get mentioned a bit more. He took 2 wickets as well. In reply, Derbyshire got off to an absolute shocker. Stumbled their way to 4 for 6 off just 3 overs. Godliman, Haider Ali, Wayne Madsen, Brooke Guest, all back in the pavilion. Damage being done with a new ball by Potts and Ben Rain. Rain finished with 3 for 19 off his 7, whilst Potts took 3 for 51 off 10. A little bit expensive, but still nice to see him in the wickets. Bryden Cast followed up with his 100, 2 for 24 for him, whilst Coughlin and the on-loan leggy Matt Parkinson grabbed a wicket each. Lewis Rees, unbeaten 56, was the only man really to show anything, although number 11 Sam Connors did get 29 off 30. Bit of respectability. Following on, openers Godliman and Ali both went for a combined 1 run. Great game, guys. Whilst Derbyshire put up a much better 280 though. Matthew Lamb top scoring with a jug avoiding 99. Lewis Rees batting well again for his unbeaten 66, unbeaten in the game. Durham attack though, really, wasn't it, that grabbed the innings victory. Englandman Matty Potts 5 for 65 for him. Ben Rain 3 for 60. Wicket apiece for Coughlin and Cart. A really tough outing for Derbyshire, Rob. They're going to need their top order to recover quickly. A very under par performance, but for Durham, 24-point win, and they deservedly, I'd say now, find themselves top of the table.
He did. Took the game right to them, to be fair. 4.53 and over for their 452 for 9 declared. That's going at a leg, and that's putting the pressure straight on Derbyshire from the outset. I think they've done that really well. Ollie G. Robinson, he took his ball and he moved to Durham. He wanted to play more, he wanted to keep more, and he wanted to bat, and he wanted to score runs. And it's his first ton since September 2021. 112 against Middlesex in a COVID year. Career 32 average guy, and just under a top 6 average of minus 0.69 this year. averaging 50 and 14 above the top 6 match average. So did the move work out? Well, it's working out and it's looking really good. Bryden Coss, all-rounder, Rich.
He's getting himself in there.
6 runs, mate. A career average of 29.
It's there, isn't it?
Worth noting.
Yeah.
Now, what is really interesting, this year he scored 2 scores of 50 and above, which is great. But it's the first time he scored more than 50 since 2019. So you can see why it's so under the radar. 249 runs at 83, 100, 150. Superb addition coming into a team batting at number 7. But incidentally, all of last year, batting at 8 and 9. So it is massively under the radar. Dear diary moment, I scored a 50 and 100. I'm going to go and tell my parents about how well I've done. But a career average of 29 can't be sniffed at when you get top 6 players that sometimes don't average 29 and drop out the game. So incredible record, and it'll be awesome just to see him keep the momentum going. See if he can finish the season averaging 35, 40. Is he got the capability to turn into that type of batter?
Yeah, I mean, who knows? We spoke about the all-rounder question earlier, didn't we? We're not going to get ahead of ourselves with this man because he's only just starting to do it. But he's had a real stop-start career, hasn't he? He's 27 now, sneaky old. But he's definitely he's a prototype of what England used to like as a bowler. He's big, he's strong, he bowls a heavy ball. If we're Flintoff-esque, isn't he, in some ways? And if he can do it with the bat, England always like someone that can bat at 8. We're not talking about 6 or 7 for this guy, but if he can bat at 8 at some point in the future, then he has a future. And England want to rotate their seamers. They want at least 8 seamers, don't they? I think they were talking about, or even 9 seamers this summer, just to make sure that they're fully stocked and everyone's fit and firing and ready to go if called upon across this. Well, it's going to be a pretty tough 5-game series, isn't it? Because they're all, I don't know if they're all back to back, but they're all quite tight scheduling, aren't they, for the Ashes
kind
this
of
summer?
Back to back, have a quick break, back to back.
Yeah, exactly. So he's going to be there or thereabouts. He's staying on the England watch. All right, okay, everybody.
Staying on Twitter. Derbyshire's woes, mate. Like last year, great change of coaching, continuity in that coaching class this year. Ian Bell involved. Just you would have thought in a really good spot.
Yep.
Not quite working out for them.
They've got to put your finger on it, isn't it? Really, at the moment, they've got a good lineup.
Yeah, and it's not quite working with the bat this year for them. Outside of always going to be there, all scoring runs. Wayne Madsen, Deploy's got a few, but Wayne Madsen's the guy. Stands at slip, scores the runs, probably makes the tees. Like he's excellent. The rest of it just isn't quite clicking this year. Particularly the bowling, I think, is probably putting pressure on the rest of the game. The lacking control and the ability to piece together any sort of breakthrough and gain any momentum. Ranked absolute last, averaging 56 with the ball and a strike rate of 84, which is up there with Chris Wokes in the West Indies tour of 2022. Who was opening the bowling with Chris Wokes? I remember we were talking about it the other day. There was Wokes and Overton in the West Indies and the strike rate of about 100. It's very, very similar to that. And also the second worst economy rate. They're going at 4 and over on the season. So they're in a poor spot. Mark Watts bowling the spin. Decent T20 cricketer. Had a good World Cup a couple of World Cups ago. But 1 for 166 at 4.15 isn't quite going to click. And then outside of Zach Chappell, who's been an excellent signing, they've just not got it going on. Ben Aitchison, 5 wickets at 70, 4.16 economy rate. Another guy, 4.08. Dar, 1 for 133. Just, you can see why they're last. They're chasing leather. They're chasing baseball leather throughout the whole month of April, where you'd really hope that your seamers will come into their own a bit.
Yeah, fingers crossed. You can't see them playing like this for too much longer. It will turn, I'm sure it will. They're too good a side. Mickey Arthur at the helm, he's going to be sorting things out. So just a tough start for Derbyshire, though. It's strange, isn't it? Because when we look at our fellow East Midlands rivals, Leicestershire and Derbyshire, we all said Derbyshire's going to be pushing at the top of the table. We all said Leicestershire are going to be pushing at the bottom of the table. That's pretty much reversed. So it is a strange start to summer, but fair play to Leicestershire, obviously, and also fair play for Durham. We're looking really good. And you start working through that card, and now you're starting to see players perform. It looks a really good card, doesn't it? Borthwick in there, Beddingham in there. We've talked about Robinson, Jones, and Lees at the top. Bird, is it Bird? No, not Bird. We spoke about Robinson. And then the bowling as well. And obviously, if the all-rounders are playing, Matty Potts. Come on, Matty Potts. We were saying Sam Cook could be the Matty Potts this year. Maybe Matty Potts is the Matty Potts this year. Have you ever thought about that?
He's going to be Ashes ready and ready to come in firing. He looks a strong fit specimen that will be, shouldn't in theory break down too much.
Yeah, stunning, mate. Like a young Burt Reynolds, eh? So, a quick word, Matt Parkinson. Not being selected last week for Lancashire, Hartley was selected above him. He's joined Durham for a couple of weeks. Reason Durham needed him, injury to Aussie Matt Kuhneman, who's made a strong start to life in county championships. Any thoughts on this move for Parkinson?
I'm glad he's playing. Great, he's playing cricket. Would have preferred to have seen him playing Division 1 cricket. A lot of teams will love a Matt Parkinson in the division, but you can see why Lancashire might have gone, you can play, but you're not going to be playing in our division. So good he's playing cricket. I don't know what's going on with his game at the moment. I think I've spoken before how he bowled slow, like 40 miles an hour slow. And my take on from what I see is that he's trying to bowl quicker and it's not turning as much, control's not quite there as much, and it's possibly going to take a little bit of time to bed in, but I've not seen an interview with him that really gives good insight into why there's a difference. And there is a big difference in terms of output, production, wickets. Not quite the same at the moment.
No. Well, he's there for another game or so. I think probably it's just a couple of weeks he's going to be there for. So let's hope he gets a bit more of action next week. Right, let's move it on to the last two games, Rob. Drawing game here at Hove. Sussex hosted Gloucestershire. No team has lost more time this season than Gloucestershire, but they'll be delighted to have lost a little bit more this week. Sussex were closing in on the win when it came to a close. Visitors were still 86 runs behind following on. So this would have been a Sussex win with time in the game. First innings, 455 for 5 declared for Sussex. Indian run machine, Cheteshwar Pujara, wonderful 151 for him. 19-year-old James Cole scored a career-high 74 with Tom Alsop scoring a steady 67. Wicket-keeper batter Ollie Carter continued his fine start to the summer with a bat as he finished unbeaten on 59. Just a quick one, 19-year-old James Cole batting with Pujara, while he's on it. What fun. This is amazing, isn't it, for these guys, isn't it? Steve Smith arrives this week for about 3 game stint. Steve Smith and Pujara. How can you not learn?
Useful.
So valuable for these young players. Also, I just want to quickly, Ali Orr report. He was caught out for 36, Rob. That means he wasn't run out backing up. Congratulations to Ali Orr. Martin DeLange and Zafar Gohar took 2 wickets apiece. Ajit Dale taking the other one. In the reply, Gloucestershire were bowled out for 248. Miles Hammond finishing 87, I think it was, not out from number 4. They will be frustrated with this response out after starting really well. Chris Dent, first man out for 32 at 66 for 1. Aussie Marcus Harris, another made a good start, 37. Next man out, 99 for 2. 2 of their best players, probably their 2 best players, both out in the 30s. 99 for 2. You've got to go on, haven't you, really? I mean, that's just responsibility. With the ball, Sussex had a 5-wicket performance from another Aussie, Nathan McAndrew, who took 5 for 63 in his 22 overs. Following on, Gloucestershire had reached 121 for 4 when proceedings came to an end. They really had skipper Graham Van Buren to thank as well. He steadied the ship after they were reduced to just 16 for 3, with keymen Dent, Harris and Bracey all removed on the cheap. Van Buren guided them through, unbeaten on 55. Oliver Price staying with him 22 not out. McAndrew took another wicket while Sean Hint finished with an impressive 3 for 36. 13 points for Sussex, Rob, whilst Gloucestershire got out of this one with 6 points.
Yeah, it's an interesting one. Gloucestershire relegated last year, no win from 4, 3 draws, 1 no result. And let's be honest, they probably wouldn't have got a result out of this if it wasn't for the weather. Struggling with the bat, Graham Van Buren averaging 82 with a 50 and a ton, Marcus Harris averaging 46. Really interesting, Graham Van Buren only scored more than 50 twice last year in 12 matches, and he's already done that this year in 4 matches, averaging 72. So he's having he had a very quiet last year, but he's returning to form really well. But I want to focus on Sussex, because Sussex are an exciting team to watch. They've got heaps of great young batters that you want to tune into and you want to watch them play. You've got the class of Pujara. You want to go and watch him just ooze confidence and beautiful cover drives and flicks off his legs. Also, the odd tracking and hoik of the spinner in this knock as well, which was quite good to see. But the difference to me, last year, their bowling attack was ranked 7th, the average 49, with an 81 strike rate. That's why they weren't competitive. This year, they've made really good, solid acquisitions. The bowling attack is 2nd, averaging 28 with a 47 strike rate. McAndrew is an outstanding signing for overseas player. 2 5-fers already, 15 wickets at 20. Strike rate of 30. Crocombe, He's averaging 22, and Finn Hudson-Prentice has come in and done a great job as well.
Yeah.
Injury-free after a rough couple of years, but 12 wickets at 19 as well. And you've seen a return to form. Jack Carlson picked up a fifer in the previous week. So Sussex looking more and more like the team and the potential that they might be able to show for the duration of the season, and potentially put themselves in contention to be in that kind of top 2, 3, 4 teams. Also, Pujara, just touching on him, 1,426 runs since the start of last year. A very healthy 95.07 with a balls per 155 in 7 centuries.
What's he messing about? Get your average up to 100. Come on.
That is form.
Ridiculous, isn't it? Absolutely stunning. So, right, last but not least then, Rob, Leicestershire versus Glamorgan at Grace Road. Another draw, as we said. Another one, only reached the third innings of the game. Didn't get anywhere near concluding this one. Leicestershire, they got a good first innings score, though, 407. Aussie Peter Hanscom top scored with 95. And England man Rayan Ahmed not far behind him with 90 off 129. Skipper Lewis Hill, 53. Colin Ackerman, 45. They're all happy at Leicestershire. Start of the season, there was a couple of contract conversations going on, wasn't there? Was talking about Ackerman might even be looking to move on. They're happy now. Leicestershire are looking pretty good. Yeah. With the ball for Glamorgan, Sydney-born Dutch international Tim van der Houten took a very good 6 for 88 off 29 overs. That's a good spell. Michael Neser, David Lloyd picked up 2 wickets each. In reply, Glamorgan, shaky start. David Lloyd, second ball. He's gone. But they got into gear, didn't they? Eventually closing the innings ahead on 465. Eddie Byram, 51, the opener, and Labuschagne, the Aussie, 64. 3. Sam Northeast, 40 as well. All did well in that middle order. But then, well, sort of high middle order, lower middle order, they gave way. But then wicketkeeper Chris Cook, 36-year-old, 11th first-class 100, a wonderful 132 for him. And Aussie Michael Neser posted 90. This is a strange game, isn't it, when you start reading it out loud again. The pair put on 211 for the 8th wicket. Good knock by those boys. Chris Wright, 5 for 89 off a mammoth 36.1 overs for Leicestershire. Tom Scriven, 3 for 61. Rayan Ahmed, just giving it an England watch. He bowled 28 overs, no wickets, but he went at 3 and over. Pretty steady stuff for him. It's good to see him have a good long bowl. Third and final innings of the game, Leicester had reached 252 for 3 before they declared to end the game. Rishi Patel top scored with an unbeaten 134, his second 100 of the summer, while skipper Lewis Hill had made 82. Real shame this one couldn't go to a finish, because I'm sure it would have built up into quite an interesting one. 6 points for Leicestershire, 5 for Glamorgan.
Heaps of notes on this. I watched quite a bit. Rayan Ahmed. And I think I've put this on before, and it's not being disrespectful, but he is such a talented batter that there is potential that he becomes a better batter than he is a bowler in the future.
Yeah, talking of all-rounders.
Across multiple formats.
Yeah.
He has so much time when he's batting. He's so relaxed, makes it look easy. He's got the ability to play some interesting shots. And, everyone knows the future's bright. But I think the future's bright as a potentially, I don't want to go, hey, there's loads of pressure on him to go and do it, but potentially a top 6 test cricketer amongst other formats that he goes and plays in. Like you can see it. He's got oodles of ability. Leicester completely punching on their pre-season predictions. Everyone, one man and his dog, went to Moa Meadow and said, hey, Leicestershire, you're picking up the wooden spoon. Patel averaging 78 with 2 centuries. Ackerman doing Ackerman-type things, averaging 62, 350 plus scores. Lewis Hill's returned to previous forms from previous seasons, averaging 76. And Peter Hanscom's arrived in England and said, hey, I can bat in England now. This is brilliant. 302 runs out of 100. You are not going to lose many games when you're batting like that. Your top 6 is performing brilliantly. Absolutely brilliant. Bowling attacks averaging 41 in 6th place. That's okay. You're still not going to lose many games, and you're going to have moments where Chris Wright does Chris Wright things. 484 championship wickets at 32, 13 at 23 this year, minus 21.55 on the match average that he's playing in, and minus 27 strike rate to the matches that he's playing in. So leading the attack as you would like him to do. Van der Goodten, 15 wickets, 4th in the division. Absolutely on fire, bowls with a whole heap of fire in his belly, really pumped up when he picks up wickets, which I love. And Chris Cook turns 37 this year, which is incredible. In the form of his life, averaged 50 in 2021 and 22, and he's averaging 50 in 2023. Wonderful late career form. 2017, he scored a century and then made no centuries till 2021. So at that stage of the career, he's probably like, oh yeah, I'm not quite as good as I used to be. Like I can't get back there. His career average has now reached 40.65 in the championship, and it's the first time it's been over 40 since September 2017. So quite incredible that he's been able to get himself back to where he wanted to be, and maybe even better than he was in a previous life. So fair play to him. He's 11.29 runs above the team averages for the games that he's played in, and he's just getting better and better. Does it year in, year out for these guys now. Great performer. They're just going to need a little bit more from the batting to win a few games, Glamorgan.
Yeah, they've played pretty well so far this summer, haven't they? So let's have a look then. So without reward, should I say, to finish that sentence, they've played pretty well without reward. So Durham, impressive win. They're out on top on their own 4 games, 64 points. Leicestershire and Sussex second and third on 45 and 41, with Worcestershire in fourth on 35. The next 4 all remain winless. Glamorgan, Gloucestershire and Durham, I think, are the only ones to have played 4 games, just worth noting. But then Yorkshire and Derbyshire are bottom. So, just like we did with Division 1, Rob, just have a quick look. Unsurprisingly, Pujara, he's in front. 332 runs at 66.4 this year, 200. Rishi Patel close second, 314 at 78. Also with the 200s. Leicestershire teammate Ackerman and Hill third and fourth with 310 and 307 respectively. Ollie Robinson, he's there in fifth, 303 runs after his 108 this week.
Good. Yeah, it's just littered with Durham and Leicestershire players. Let's be honest.
Yeah,
I did a graphic for the Twitter account the other day, and I was just literally copying and pasting the Leicestershire badge all the way down. And when is the time in your life you could ever say that? It's just Leicestershire badges going all the way down. Fair shout to Patel as well. He's holding strong, 18 runs behind Pujara with an equal amount of centuries.
That's pretty good.
The first 3 games that each have played. That's a start to the season, mate.
And we said earlier, only Sam Hain in Division 1 has got 200s this year, and you've got Pujara and Rishi Patel. Yes, you've got the name right now. I nearly said Ryan Patel. That's a Surrey player, isn't it? That's absolutely amazing when you consider that there's only 3 of them, I think, so far that's got 200s this year, unless I'm missing anyone off. Please tell me if I am. With the ball, though, Durham new ball pair Ben Rain and Matty Potts lead the way. 16 wickets each for them, and that Aussie seamer Nathan McAndrew, who Rob gave plaudits to, he's took 15 for Sussex. Tim van der Houten and Chris Wright of Leicestershire are also... Van der Houten's got 15, and then Chris Wright's got 13 so far. So again, it's the Durham, it's the Leicestershire. They're the men doing it.
Yeah, I think Chris Wright's the call out for me is match average. So he's averaging 23, which is 21.55 less than the match average that he's bowled in, which is phenomenal. Like, these guys are good, but his in the teams and the games that he's playing in is exceptional.
Absolutely. So that gets us where we need to be this week, Rob. There's still, I think we've got another 3 rounds of county championship before anything else happens, which will be T20 Blast underway 20th of May. So we're not far away now. We're into May, aren't we? And then not long after that, 1st of June, that's when we start seeing Test cricket. That's when England will be playing against Ireland in their first Test of the summer before the World Test Championship, Australia-India. Ahead of the Ashes. We might have mentioned that once or twice so far, I'm not sure. But it's getting there, isn't it? Another 3 rounds. We've got 7 games coming up. Division 2, Derbyshire, Leicestershire. Could be interesting. Worcestershire, Sussex at New Road, and then Yorkshire, Glamorgan. Winless Yorkshire hosting Glamorgan.
It's going to be an interesting one. You want to see Yorkshire come back.
Yes.
They haven't won. They've had a no result, a loss and a draw. Next to bottom, they're the team that's supposed to go and win this league. So you need to see a little bit of fight from them if they get some decent weather. Leicestershire, can you do it on a cold Thursday in Derby? Like, you're on this incredible run of form. You're in opposites. We expect you to be at opposite ends of the table to what you are. Can you go do it there? And Sussex, can they do enough against a Worcestershire team that we've just said all along, they're just there or thereabouts. They're there or thereabouts. They're going to win some games. They're going to lose some games. The team generally doesn't excite me when I'm watching them, unless Pollock's batting. Whereas Sussex, like that's a chance. That's a real chance to go and put yourself in contention for the top of the table.
Absolutely. So, yeah, we'll come back again next week, Rob. Do it all again. See what's happened. Hopefully, with less rain this time.
Back again next week. We will finally do our England depth chart, which we are threatening most podcasts. You can check out all the stats at www.leadingedgecricket.com. You can find links to the podcast there. You can find links to YouTube there. And we also implemented a ball-by-ball service on there. So now you can go in and you can see batter versus bowler matchups, batter averages against pace and spin and all that good sort of stuff from 2020 onwards. So head over. You can also head to buymeacoffee.com/leadingedgecricket and say, hey, cheers, boys. Here's a coffee. Enjoy it.
Great.
Keep Richie awake, and I'll probably have it in the morning when I wake up.
Yeah.
Happy days.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for listening, everyone. Have a great day, a great week. We'll catch you next time.